if I were to slap one of you across the bottom of the leg with a belt, I would probably go to jail. But in the state of Texas, I can take that same belt and hit a 5-year-old child across the bottom of the legs at my own discretion, as long as I'm their parent. Hitting children, no matter what it's called, spanking, swatting, slapping, poking, no matter what you call it, is wrong and counterproductive. My name is James Panic, and I've been a father for 32 years and worked in education for 25 years. Tonight, first I'm going to tell you some societal context for corporal punishment. Then I'll tell you about some of the research ongoing about corporal punishment and why it doesn't work. And finally, I will give you some clues as far as to what individuals can do instead of spanking children. Corporal punishment is handed down through families, much like any other familial behavior. For instance, if your father drank heavily, you would have a higher preponderance of drinking heavily. If your parents spanked you, you would be more likely to spank your children. Spanking is a violent and permanent solution to a temporary problem. In her article, More Harm Than Good, a summary of scientific research on the intended and unintended consequences of corporal punishment on children, in the magazine Law and Contemporary Problems in 2010, Elizabeth Gershoff says the use of corporal punishment to discipline children remains one of the last holdouts of old-fashioned child rearing in the United States. Melissa Jordan, in her article for Parenting Magazine, The History of the Car Seat in 2010 says, and I paraphrase here, car seats, bike helmets, and leash laws are all less than 25-year-old methods we use to protect our children. And these are my words. Yet in every state in the union, it is still acceptable to remove the child from the car seat, take off their helmet, and hit them at the parent's discretion. This includes the discretion of 16-year-old parents, mentally ill parents, step-parents, angry parents, adoptive parents, and anyone else capable of procreating or marrying someone who has. As a society, we place limits on drinking age, driving age, voting age, and age of military service, but there are no limits regarding the necessary training to spank a child. Study after study have shown that spanking children instills fear, resentfulness to authority, and is used as an expeditious method to acquire immediate compliance. Melody McDonald, in her article, Texas Law Allows Parents to Paddle Kids as Long as the Punishment is Not Abusive, for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram in March of 2011, says, the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, which oversees child care centers and foster homes, prohibits corporal punishments, and those who are caught using it face losing their permit or licenses. The state of Texas refuses to allow organizations it is responsible for to use corporal punishment, but out of political fear refuses to curtail a parent's so-called right to hit their child. There are several good alternatives to hitting children. The state of Texas minimum standards for child care facilities suggest 1-minute timeouts per year of age. Thoughtful, immediate, and consistent timeouts have been shown, at least in my experience, to be a very effective tool for disciplining young children. If a child does something that is dangerous, it is acceptable for a parent to modify their tone of voice and even take quick and firm hold of the child, for instance, if the child is about to run out into a parking lot. Older kids typically respond well to having privileges removed, such as TV, internet, or the like. The key to age-appropriate discipline is consistency and being the adult. If from the time your next child is born, you as a parent do the hard work of being the authority figure without being authoritarian, children will respond. I'd like to wrap up by touching on a few of the major points that I spoke about this evening. Parents who put in the effort to parent well and don't take the quick and lazy way out by bullying their own child will reap the rewards. Today I spoke to you about where spanking stands in our society, why some parents choose to hit their children, and I gave you a few alternatives to spanking. In closing, I can report that my daughter, who just turned 5 years old, has never once been spanked. She isn't a perfect little angel, but she has boundaries and does what we ask her. Perhaps with maturity, I've learned a few things about parenting in a non-violent way, but these techniques are available to anyone. I believe that hitting children is tantamount to bullying, and that with education and enlightenment, more parents will find hitting unnecessary. Thank you for listening.